in my PJs. Can you hear me okay? Is the connection all right?
Yeah, it's not bad. You're a little fuzzy, but I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we're good. And is it okay on your end?
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. So, so this is great. Thanks so much again. And are you still good for like 40, 45 minutes for the discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's get started. So my first question is, Emily, where do you live?
I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool.
Which is, central Pennsylvania area. Yeah.
That's not near, is it near Allentown?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought so. That's where my husband's from.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Cool. So, and what do you like to do for fun?
For fun, gosh, I don't have a lot of time for fun. I'm a student, so a lot of my time is just working on projects for school or personal projects. So yeah, I like to dabble in like a lot of fine art stuff in addition to computer work, digital work.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about your work as a student. What's your degree, or what's the program you're in?
Sure. I go to the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design, right in the downtown area, and I'm studying graphic design.
Okay.
I originally went to school in 2008, got my associates in graphic design, and then came back because it's an ever-changing place in design. And so yeah, I've been learning a lot, and it's great. So I'll be graduating in April.
Oh wow! Congrats. Yeah. And that degree will that be a bachelor's or will that be a master's?
It'll be a BFA. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm curious, like, so you're saying that there's, always stuff to learn. What in particular are you learning now that you felt like you didn't get before?
Definitely like web material.
Okay.
And even like in terms of context, like definitely with my packaging classes as well, where just like regulations change and resources. So yeah, it's definitely been great kind of coming from like I used to use, Dreamweaver to do work. And it's changing constantly. So now you've got grids this year, and yeah, it's been a learning curve for me being a non-traditional student. But yeah, there's always different things happening.
And this is a full-time program that you're in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. So let's talk about the kinds of projects you do. Actually, do you mind sharing like what classes you're taking right now? Can you give us an overview of the classes?
Sure. So I just finished up a packaging class, an ethics class,
Cool.
yeah, a web development class, a senior web development class, and which we learned WordPress, which was great. And then just a senior studio. So it's kind of free reign. A lot of the projects are client-based projects, and then I don't know, there's a lot of freedom there. So you can use whatever methods you find right for you to make the product available to the client. And then, yeah, so I'm coming up with a social media and marketing class next semester, more web and more senior studio work. So
that's cool. Yeah. For the client based projects, is that something that the school sources for you, like the clients that?
Yeah, so we try to do a lot of like nonprofit work. So we'll work with like local food bank programs, or we do this giant thing called Designathon every winter, where everybody works 24 hours around the clock and does nonprofit work. So that's always fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we do a lot of just like that kind of material, and it's for not just in Lancaster. We also work with like Berks County, which is kind of around the area towards Allentown. Like we worked with them and their like local business representatives, and like just help them out. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That must be really gratifying. Cool. Well, all right. So the next bit of questions are kind of around like workflow. So if you could think of maybe a project from your class for the client-based projects, if you could describe the project or the, I guess the, you know, the assets you created and the objectives, and I want to know, like, soup to nuts, how you got from, you know, concept to delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for like brainstorming within groups. So like do your own individual research, and then I'm a pretty personal person. Does that make sense? And so like I'll go around and I'll ask everybody from the fine art department, from the illustration department. Like I like to get everybody's opinions. So if the idea starts there, then definitely I like to work on paper first, just to sketch something out, just to get a feel for it. And I'm trying to think of a good project that'd be a good example. So we did brochures and magazine ads for Berks County.
Okay.
And everyone gets the same material, same copy, same photographs, which can be fun because it's like local folk festivals and stuff like that. And it's just fun seeing kind of what everybody else creates. You get the same mediums, and then everyone's is different. So yeah, I start at paper and just do a basic layout, and from there, I most of the time will work with an illustrator. I like to take a little more illustrative route than a lot of other graphic designers. So yeah, Illustrator is great for that, and even like Photoshop, just to sketch some things, just to have it available. And from there, InDesign, and then export it as a PDF to send to the client.
It ends up as like the full PDF, like they would be able to print that out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What do you, yeah, what are you using Photoshop in for that workflow?
Usually just for sketching. Like if I just want to use like my regular hand and like a Wacom tablet or something, just to kind of get a feel for like where my ideas are going. Or if I'm administrative for that project, I'll use Photoshop. But
okay. And then the layout is in InDesign.
Yeah, in the end, it goes to InDesign.
Okay. Cool. Any image work that you're doing for that brochure? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, so Photoshop also to edit any photographs that the client was giving to us, because most of the time these are either taken on their phones or, yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, just to spruce them up a bit.
Okay. What's the biggest challenge in doing a project like that?
Definitely, I'm trying to think. Definitely, like in terms of communications between the individual like me and the client, but also I think it's like time management is a huge thing. Also, I was gonna say like importing and exporting through different applications can be a bit of a process as well. I use an older Mac, and it can be slow.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I've got like 3 different Adobe applications running at the same time, it's running as hard as it can.
Right.
Yeah, so that's mainly the main challenge, just in terms of tech. But
yeah.
yeah.
What year is your Mac?
It is a 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the school does not provide hardware for you.
They have some things available, but in terms of how available the school in terms of hours is open, you know, I can't. I mean, that's one thing that definitely drew me to like working with these programs, is that I can take my office anywhere. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. So a couple questions. You mentioned there's challenges around import and export. Can you give me an example of that?
Sure.
Oh.
Exporting a text document that she has in Illustrator. Don't know why. And she's putting it into a PDF, and she wants to make it editable. And she's dealing with issues with that, and I'm just like kind of walking her through it from what my experiences have been with that. So sometimes, I mean, it was very brief when we talked, and then I had to jump on here, but it's things like, oh, is your text outline, is, you know, like small things like that I think a lot of like novice users don't really get, that, I don't know, text can be tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. And let's see. Let me just consult my question list. Okay, so you listed a bunch of tools that you use. Is there anything besides the, the Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, and you mentioned Dreamweaver. Are there other softwares that you use?
Yeah. After Effects,
Okay.
I use regularly. Muse, I've used in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not going to say I use it regularly.
Okay.
And then just recently, like trying Dimension, which was really cool. Yeah.
What do you use After Effects for?
I took a motion graphics class,
Okay.
and more like people are asking for social media work, and they want things to move. So yeah, so that's helpful.
And is it part of your school curriculum to be taught the software?
Yeah. And it's nice. The school itself like realizes that the time that we have in class, which are studio-based classes, I mean, it's a long day, and your attention span can only last so long. So they'll offer like lynda.com subscriptions for students, which is cool. And there's plenty of YouTube tutorials that people always watch. But that's the nice part about at least the small community here within the students, is that everybody kind of learns something and then shares it amongst others.
Oh, neat. So you have a lot of peer edification of tips and tricks and stuff like that? Okay, cool. Neat. Along those lines, so what's your favorite software to use?
I don't know if it's I guess my favorite is Illustrator. I use it constantly. So I always have it open. So, yeah.
And why is that? What do you think about it?
Ooh, what was that?
What do you love about Illustrator?
Oh, I think it's just that I'm so familiar with it. It's where my comforts lie. Gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the safest space to experiment with different techniques. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. I've always kind of like talked to other students about like with Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, because those are the main things you use most of all. I'm just like, with Photoshop, you can do almost anything. It's so loosey goosey, and then with InDesign, it's so strict and kind of like it can be fun, but it's not that fun. So Illustrator's that nice in between of the balance of the two. Yeah.
Got it. What's your least favorite software?
I'm trying to think. I think just because, like, again, of familiarity, After Effects has been a little bit harder for me to grasp. I'm not a photo editor. Sorry, I'm not a video editor. So that's just because I'm still in the process of learning most of it. There's just so much there. Like I've been wanting to explore plugins and stuff like that, but I don't know anything about it. So it's definitely like scary territory, but it's fun to play with.
Okay. And is there any type of software you wished you had?
Well, like in all honesty, like we as a class, we've always talked about like, wow, I really wish there was a class that taught you how to make mock-ups, and like, because that's what clients want. They like to see whatever it is you're making, to kind of give them a rendered idea of what it looks like. And a lot of students I know have tried to make their own mock-ups in Illustrator and in Photoshop, and it's messy and time-consuming. So yeah, that was like when Dimension came out, just for like, the little kind of like pop-up came up and was like, hey, it came at the best time because I was in the middle of a packaging class, and it was me and one. Yeah, it was actually like really perfect. I was just like, oh gosh, I have to like put together this thing and take photographs. And there was like there was issues with it in terms of like just slow rendering time. But my teacher was really interested in it, and one other student tried to work with it, and so like that was kind of like a, oh, they're working on it, like we're gonna get what we want eventually. Like, so yeah.
And sorry, when was that? Was that before we launched it as Dimension, or was that
was
last year?
It was right when you launched it as Dimension.
Okay. And you said you saw a pop-up. Was that like from your Creative Cloud?
Yeah, the notification
downloader.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Do you often look for new software?
Yeah, I mean, like it's nice just because of word of mouth, like people will recommend certain things.
Right.
So yeah, like if a new tool comes out and it makes the job easier and better, then yeah, most certainly I look for stuff like that.
And you mentioned that your class was like, geez, I wish there was this thing. Were people actively trying to find other solutions before they knew about Dimension?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like people were just kind of making up their own mock-ups or actually putting together a physical piece and setting
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that was the alternative.
But they weren't necessarily using any other 3D programs or anything like that.
No. Okay. And that's something that, in terms of 3D programming, the school in their digital media classes, they do a bit of that, but then they don't do like client-based projects or something like that. So they're mostly working on like video game design and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could go up to them and ask them to try to do something, but
yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm just taking my notes here. So let's see. All right. You talked about your Mac. It's 2010. What other devices do you work on?
I work on my phone, and it's like I don't have an iPad, but I have a friend who has an iPad, and I'll use like Draw on there. And I've like whenever I can't make something within After Effects, like a simple social media video, Spark, which is nice.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's really super convenient, and I have friends who like have Etsy shops and stuff like that, and I'm just like, you could really use this for your marketing stuff. Like, yeah. So people who usually aren't savvy with Adobe products at all, like, I'll be like, hey, check it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you use Spark on a mobile device?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And okay, that's awesome. And do you use like a Wacom or any sort of drawing tablet?
Yeah, I have like an old Wacom Bamboo that I use. And then I've been like in the market of like, ooh, a graduation gift. So I'm in the market to find something nicer. And then here at the school, they do have like Cintiq tablets.
Nice.
Yeah, those are really nice.
Yeah, if you can afford them.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, about graduation, it's coming up. What's your ideal job after you graduate?
Ooh, something in-house would be great. Freelance is kind of like, oh, like, wouldn't it be great to just work from home? And, you know, that's a glorified idea of what life could be, but it's not the safest route. So something like an in-house designer. I love working alongside like nonprofit organizations, and like I don't know, I love like a downtown sense of feel. If that makes sense, community-based projects. Something like that would be really cool. And something with health insurance. So, yeah.
Were you doing graphic design work in between your school?
Yeah, and just small things like freelance work here and there, or like personal projects, but nothing too crazy.
Okay, cool. Great. So, some more questions here about, like, okay, so you open Dimension, you know, it's a new software. How do you go about starting to learn a new software when you're?
Well, the pop-up little tutorial bits are really helpful. And like after a while, I mean, I know like all different walks of life end up using products. So after a while, it's like it gets a little repetitive. But it definitely like helps you at least like guide your way around. And other than that, it's usually just kind of really just messing with it. And I'll kind of like mess with like keyboard shortcuts just to see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess like riding your bike again, like thank God for Control Z because, but yeah, it's, you just try different things. When it came with Dimension, it was, I'm sure like what I did, there was a different way to do it that most likely was either easier or harder. I mean, I take kind of like, I don't want to sound like this, but like the tools can be used in like multiple different ways. So it was just a matter of just like playing with it, I guess, like not being afraid.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so why, like what motivates you to keep using a new software?
It's definitely in terms of like career-based things where it's just like you need to keep up. But also just like just out of curiosity too. It's nice having like this kind of fine art background where you want to like kind of get your hands on something new and try some different things and definitely like share that with other people as well. So yeah, it's, I guess it's just like a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, I know you're avid at about sharing.
Yeah.
And you share, like, just kind of list all the channels where you like to share work and.
So on a personal level, like a more intimate level, like I have group chats with different artists and other students that I'm pretty close with, and we're always critiquing each other's work. So there's always that. But then on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter sometimes. Twitter is questionable.
Yeah.
But a lot of the interactions I try to do is on Instagram.
Okay. You mentioned group chats. Is that through like a messenger system, like a Slack or something?
Yeah, well, Slack, we've used it before. There's a local AIGA group here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's nice because a lot of older professionals are available there to give critiques and give tips there as well. But then also just like iMessaging.
Cool. You only get better if you can get those critiques, right?
Yeah, for real.
Okay. Is AIGA something you've been involved with for a while?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's also kind of stressful because it's getting people away from their homes or their couches or their computers and going out and actually doing things. I definitely think people get comfortable looking at the screen to try to network. But and maybe because I'm old, I'm just like, hey, you know, I like to shake a hand and get to know people.
I'm going to ask you your age later, but I'm guessing you're probably younger than me. So,
but yeah, it's great. At least here on the local level, they do like pens and pints where people just, there's no pressure. It's just a draw and drinking kind of event. And then we're so close to Hershey that they'll do, like recently there was like the guy who redesigned all the ad campaign work for the Hershey Kisses, and it was super great. So they do a lot of work here.
That's
and it's
cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a one-woman show. It's one chick who just kind of does it all. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then within the school, I'm like the president of AIGA within the PCAD.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let's talk about Dimension in specific now. Um, so have you used it in projects for school?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what, like, it was kind of like that moment of truth, like the night before, yeah, in a project, and it was like it was either I could go to school and waste materials and my time to create this product and then stage it and shoot it, um, and then that kind of popped up, and I was like, well, why not try it? And if it goes horribly wrong, my teacher can at least see that I tried. So, um, and it worked out really well. And it did end up taking me a while. Like obviously wasn't able to learn it in a night. So I got to school and I was like, look, this is what I'm working on. It was kind of fun. The whole class got involved and we kind of like watched how I was like laying things out and like zooming in and out of the area, the 3D area. And then another student had tried it as well and didn't have as much success, but everything turned out really cool for me. I really loved it.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, and my teacher was really impressed as well, just the small details, because he's been in the packaging design business for a while, and he was just like, I gotta try this. Like,
yeah. Awesome. Well, if you're comfortable with it, I would love to get any visuals that you have of the projects you made with Dimension, or even just projects that you've done for other things too, because we're just trying to get like, line up all the things that people are making already and share that with our group. So, okay. So when you were using Dimension, would you say it had an impact on your workflow?
Oh yeah. It definitely, like, once I got the hang of it, for the most, like, as much as I could, it definitely just like my time was cut in half. So I was at least like more familiar and a little more comfortable moving the area, and placing like my patterns within the images, images within the boxes. Sorry. And just if I had to take the time to do everything by hand, it would have been crazy and a waste of resources. So this was great.
Great. So what did you like most about using the app?
I really I guess the small details that even my professor had pointed out, like the lids on the boxes, just having that like small shadow and things like that. Like those are things that I didn't have to worry about because they were already there. And if I was doing a digital mock-up on my own, it would most certainly take me much longer, and like those small details I could easily miss. And just like being able to really freely move my images on that 3D object. What I was doing was just placing them on and creating, like, if this makes sense, like, so I was creating what the box die line would be, and then onto the 3D object, and just being able to move it so, like, I mean, it had great flow, so it was just really easy to kind of just line everything up exactly the way I wanted it, and totally real, and it was great.
Awesome. Great. And then what did you like least about it?
And I think it must have been just like in terms of like my computer, or just the image itself when I was rendering and exporting the image of like just a screenshot of what I was doing. It definitely took a long time. I want to say like at the minimum maybe 7 minutes to get the final image. And that's all I needed. I needed at least an image that I could send off to my teacher so that we could project the image. And I had a really hard time figuring out resolution on the exporting it. So that was the most frustrating thing. I think I ended up having to deal with the smaller images that I was getting through the exporting, or just taking like screenshots from my computer. But I was looking on forums and just trying to find information, but I think because it was so new, there just wasn't a lot of information available from other users. But I mean, it worked out.
Yeah. So what was most frustrating about that?
It was definitely like, okay, Like I have a solution in mind and I couldn't find the answer for it. But it was eventually solvable. But it didn't seem like it was, in terms of like resolution sizing for exporting, it wasn't like up there in my face available to change. So it definitely felt more like I was stuck within the app itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you come across our user voice forum at all?
I think so. I forget. It was definitely like an Adobe forum that I was like searching through. And there were some like certified moderators within the boards that were mentioning things, but I couldn't find exactly like the question that someone else had posted and the answer available that like pertained to like what my situation was.
Have you since figured it out, or are you still looking for an answer?
Yeah, so I kind of figured it out. Like, so I was able to eventually like get those images, but they're just not like the best resolution that I would want them to be. And so like I said, like there were like when exporting, like I was able to at least get some images that were big enough, large enough for projection and also printing. But then also like I ended up screenshotting some things just so I would have them like more easily available at that time, to, like post on social media or something like that.
And you mentioned printing. Do you usually have to print out images for this kind of work?
Yeah, sometimes the teachers will just like to showcase work around the halls or just have it available. Everybody keeps a backup of your files anyway, whether it's PDF form or the raw files. So they like to have like something to take away from the presentations.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. So if you could change something about the app, what would it be?
I guess it's just the exporting, like just I guess making. I don't know if it's user friendly because it's pretty user friendly overall. But I guess just like having those options in terms of like resolution sizing or like to print a screenshot from the app, that would be really useful. I mean, I don't know in like a career sense in like the business world if people are going to be printing out work like that often, but in my case, I don't know if it's a unique case, it would have been useful.
All right. Good to know. And so what would you, okay, I'm going to skip that question because you already answered. All right. So you mentioned you do creative work outside of school. What kind of, can you just describe some of those projects you work on?
Yeah. So I do a lot of like hands-on work. I do like paper cutting and drawing, painting, little things like that. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes hand in hand with what my digital work does as well. Like, so like I'll use Photoshop regularly for my personal projects, just to edit images of my physical work. I'm trying to think. Sorry. So I'll do also like if I want to just draw something that's vectored or something like that. Like it's not really specific. It's just kind of like fun stuff that comes to me. Or if I find like a tutorial of something and it's like, okay, like we're just going to do this outside of regulated time available to me, just to learn something. So yeah.
Can you give me an example of that? Like when's the last time you did a tutorial you found?
So I try to keep my work updated. If it's digital work, it usually has to have like a message across it. So I was using After Effects and I really wanted to do a like kind of hand-drawn wiggle effect to kind of keep like, I don't know, keep like this feeling of hand-drawnness to this work. And so I found a tutorial and had to go like step by step by step. And it took me a while, but I eventually got it. So
awesome. So you had the idea and then you found a tutorial that would walk you through it, and then,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And so is this the type of stuff that you post to like a portfolio?
Yeah, so I use Behance, which is great, and then also for Instagram, I'll use that to show people if it's an informal kind of like, hey, check out my portfolio work. But yeah, I definitely.
Cool. Have you thought of using Dimension for any of this kind of work, the creative work outside of school?
Like it was kind of exciting once I was able to get like my final images across. So at least the project that I worked on for my packaging class and used Dimension for, like, I mean, I posted on Instagram and people were really excited about it, and
including us.
yeah, it was great. So it was just really cool to be like, wow, look at this new thing. These are like, I mean, they're solving the problems that we're having, and so a lot of the students are really excited, and I was definitely showing people, and people who like really didn't care what I was doing too. I was just like, check it out, you know, like my roommates. I was like, look what I did. So,
I'm sure they care. I'm sure they care. All right. So in school, in your classes, or even just like what your professors are talking about, is anyone talking about virtual reality or augmented reality as something you're going to need to know?
And for the graphic design program, they haven't mentioned that much. But for at least what I hear from the digital media kids, that's definitely something that's on their radar. You know, like I know for the seniors, there's one group of digital media students that are working on a video game together, and they're working on different perspectives. And I know that's something that they have lots of critiques and things to say about their department. So they're very vocal about it. But yeah, I mean, they definitely they get excited about products that come out that, you know, pertain to their career choices. So VR and things like that, that's something that they're interested in.
Yeah.
Okay. So it definitely gets buzzed around.
Yes. Yeah, I think nobody can avoid it these days. And then do you, in terms of stuff that you use in your projects, do you ever purchase like stock photography or assets at all?
Yeah. Most of the time, because still being a student, like you try to do things as cheaply as possible. So if I do buy stock photography, I make sure that it's something that I can use again, if that makes sense. Like I just make sure I can get the full amount for it. But there's a lot of other students who don't have a camera, and that's their only means of getting quality images for their work. Yeah, so yeah, like people definitely, like, especially for Adobe stock, like I see people using that all the time. Yeah.
And what's a typical price point that you would spend for an asset?
I mean, I try to be as cheap as possible. So I paid like $4 or something.
Okay.
Like I'll try my best to kind of work my way around it, and that's where like illustrative skills can come into play, or you know, or like just like getting my camera and taking a picture of a friend, maybe, you know, like I try to be as resourceful as possible.
Okay, cool. All right, some questions here about interop. So you already use, you know, a lot of the Adobe products. Are there ways you'd like to see Dimension work with those products?
I'm trying to think. I guess nothing has come to mind personally, but I guess in my head, the immediate, like, oh, this would work within Photoshop the best. Just because working with perspectives and stuff like that could be really beneficial. But also in the case of like, if I'm laying out something like InDesign, if it was an immediate like, oh, here, we're going to transfer this, it's right there, you know, that would be great. But I can't see myself using Illustrator and Dimensions totally, unless it was like, again, like just like using like libraries and stuff like that, which is, yeah, like in terms of patterns or any vector files.
Do you use Creative Cloud libraries?
I try, yeah. I use Adobe Capture a lot to kind of work on my hand drawing things into vector. So yeah, I try to use it often.
Have you used Capture recently?
Yeah. And I use it most of the time to either do just a small drawing or something like that. I usually just transfer it straight to Illustrator, normally not Photoshop.
Okay.
And then from that, I'll transfer the Illustrator file to After Effects. That's usually how it goes.
Mm-hmm. And did you know you can use Adobe Capture to create materials you can use in Dimension?
Whoa! Okay, yeah, that's.
It's a new capability. So that just came out this last fall when we launched Dimension as well. So check it out. It's
that's very
neat little.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I can see your mind going, what?
Yeah. That's a great tool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you mentioned where you like to go to post things and kind of share things, but are there particular websites you visit or blogs or anything where you go to get inspired or just read up on design news?
Yeah, I definitely check out Behance a lot, just to see what other people. And I guess what's great is that you can see. I don't want to sound like this, but when you see people appreciating certain types of work, and you see what people are keeping their eye on, what's trending, and things like that, Behance definitely is great for keeping up in that sense. And then Instagram, I don't know why I keep going back to it, but the use of tags I use a lot. And I know a lot of people kind of frown upon using tags because they don't it feels like attention grabbing or something. I don't know, but I think it's important. So
you gotta,
so I follow certain tags, and I usually try to follow at least people that try different things all the time. I have a short attention span, so I like to see people doing different work. But yeah, mostly it's Instagram, Behance, Tumblr every once in a while, but that's a rocky road.
Yes, you can find some weird stuff there.
Oh yeah. But yeah, those are mostly the areas that I go to. And if not, I can't find something digitally that's inspiring. There's always the library.
Yeah. So. Awesome. All right. So my final questions are around some demographic questions, and I have to say this: you don't have to answer them, but I would like to ask them. So you can just say, "I politely decline," if you don't want to answer. But here they are. So the first one is, how old are you?
I am 27.
All right. That is so young. in my humble opinion. Okay, and are you married?
I'm not.
Okay. And do you have any children?
No.
Okay. All right. And that's it for my questions. Do you have anything you want to tell me or think that I missed asking you or?
No, I think you're really spot on. And when you were asking me about my frustrations, I knew that I had some when using Dimension, and then it was just oh my gosh, yeah, there was that one moment that was totally frustrating. So I would appreciate you guys asking for that kind of stuff. I mean, I know it's your job, but no, this was great, and I was really just impressed that you guys even reached out to me even on Instagram. So
oh my God, yeah. Well, I'll have to tell you, it is really awesome to be working for Adobe, because when I reach out to people, they're usually like you, they're pretty excited. So, but not everybody actually responds and actually signs up. And so thank you for going through the extra mile and giving us your time. I know it's really, really hard to do that. So
yeah, no, thank you so much for listening. Yeah, you're doing your job great. So
thanks. So what I'll do next, Emily, is I'm going to send you some links. One is to that User Voice forum, which is our public forum where you can post ideas for features that you'd like to see. You can also vote on features that other people have suggested. And then and that's where our product team goes and like lets you know, hey, we're working on this. Hey, we're going to work on this yet, or we need more information here, that kind of thing. And then we have also a private pre-release, which is not a public forum, it's a private forum. And that is where, if you are interested, you could sign up and you can get early builds of the app before they go public. And what we ask from people there is that they actually download them and test them out. And if we know you're interested in things like right now we're working on the render and export experience, and so I can be like, hey, Emily, we've got a new build up, check it out, and then we'd probably have like a really quick 15 to 20 minute rehash, kind of like what we're doing now, but like giving us your impressions, or maybe even like watching us or having us watch you use that part of the app.
Oh, so awesome. Yeah, that's great. Very
cool. So I'll send that your way, and then as well as the gift card too. So.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you have a happy holidays, and that it's not too cold out there.
Thanks. Yeah, it'll be good. But yes, you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. So don't be a stranger. Okay. Thanks. Bye.